Darkness. A roar echoes. Not from a stadium, but from a memory that feels like it belongs to a different lifetime. In the shadows, we see two versions of the same man, layered over each other like ghosts haunting the same hallway. One is wearing black silk trunks, marching through white smoke, terrified yet terrifying, looking like a god of war. The other is sitting on the cracked linoleum floor of a prison cell, staring at his own hands. Once, he devoured men under the bright lights of Las Vegas. Now, he devours silence. Once he devoured men under the bright lights of Las Vegas. Now, he devours silence. The gloves that used to explode like gunfire against human flesh now sit lifeless on a concrete floor. Iron bars have replaced the ring ropes. The man they called the baddest man on the planet has been reduced to inmate number 922335. A number, not a name, just a number in a state inventory. Commentators used to scream his myth into microphones. They called him a force of nature. They called him unstoppable. They called him invincible. But here, in the quiet of Indiana, there is no crowd. There is no entourage to laugh at his jokes. There is no Don King waving flags. There is no roar, only the whisper of a man who has finally run out of places to hide from himself. On one side of history lies Tokyo, where the world watched a titan collapse. On the other side lies a prison cell, where the world forgot him. One image shows a god collapsing to the canvas, scrambling for a mouthpiece like a drowning child searching for oxygen. The other shows him holding legal papers, bankruptcy lines, and criminal verdicts etched like scars across the timeline of his life. The world thought he was fighting opponents in the ring. The world was wrong. In reality, he was fighting the ghosts in his head, and the ghosts were winning. The mask has melted. The myth is dead. This is not a story about boxing. This is a story about a man manufactured into a weapon, released into the world without instructions, and punished when he finally detonated. Welcome to the descent, the fall of the most terrifying champion alive. Tokyo, February 1990. The last place on earth anyone expected Mike Tyson to break. He arrives in Japan not as a contender, but as a myth wearing gloves. Undisputed, untouchable, a storm in human form. He strolls through the neon streets of Tokyo like a god on holiday. He is seen in nightclubs, surrounded by silk-robed geishas, engaging in long nights of excess, and committing very little time to the gym. The entourage laughs. The reporters call it swagger. They say it is the confidence of a king. But historians will later look back and call it something else. They will call it rotting armor. His opponent is named Buster Douglas, a man with a record that nobody fears, a 42-1 underdog, a man whose mother had died just days before the fight. To the world, Douglas is dismissed as a sacrifice, a stay-busy opponent, a warm-up exercise for Tyson's next mega fight with Evander Holyfield. But inside, Buster Douglas burns a grief that Mike never saw coming. Grief is a powerful fuel, and while Mike is dancing through the nightlife, Douglas is training like his life depends on it, because in his mind, it does. The bell rings. From the opening seconds, something feels wrong. The air in the Tokyo Dome shifts. Tyson's movements are slow, robotic. The head movement, that famous peekaboo style that Cus D'Amato had drilled into his spine, is gone. He is standing still. He is waiting for the fear to appear in his opponent's eyes. But Douglas refuses to fear him. For the first time in his life, Mike Tyson meets a man who is not intimidated by the aura. Between rounds, a ringside commentator whispers into his headset, "This doesn't look like Iron Mike." By the 8th round, Douglas snaps Tyson's head back with disgraceful ease. But Mike, built on muscle memory and rage, responds with a short right uppercut that drops Douglas to the canvas. The world exhales. Order has been restored. The god remains a god. But then, the impossible happens. Douglas stands up. He looks clear-eyed. He looks focused. He defies destiny. Round 10. Tyson lunges in, reckless, head down, hunting for a single punch to end it. Douglas meets him with the perfect combination, an uppercut that lifts Mike Tyson off his feet. Slow motion now. Watch the moment history breaks. Tyson falls like a statue collapsing in an earthquake. The myth shatters on impact. Then comes the humiliation, the image that will burn into the retina of the world forever. Tyson is on his hands and knees. He is scrambling. He is blindly patting the canvas, looking for his mouthpiece. He puts it in his mouth backwards. He is not doing this out of clarity. He is doing it out of panic. The most feared man alive has been reduced to a confused child, trying to put his armor back on after the war is already lost. The referee counts him out. Tokyo explodes. The impossible has happened. Iron Mike is mortal. The cameras cut to his face. His left eye is swollen shut. His expression is stunned. It is the look of a man who has woken up from a dream, only to find himself in a nightmare. In that ring, Tyson wasn't just defeated by Buster Douglas. He was defeated by entropy, the decay that comes when discipline dies. Cus D'Amato, the father figure who forged the beast, is gone. There is nobody left to chain the ego, nobody left to tame the chaos in Mike's head. The unbeaten king didn't just lose a title belt that night. He lost his identity. From that night in Tokyo, the descent is no longer just a possibility. It is inevitable. Tokyo wasn't a fight. It was a prophecy fulfilled. Heroes don't fall when the world hates them. They fall when they stop fearing themselves. The crack has formed, and the entire empire will collapse through it. Indiana, 1992. The echo of the Tokyo knockout hasn't even faded when the second earthquake strikes. Conviction, headlines, handcuffs. The same newspapers that once called him the Beast with awe now use the word with venom. Mike Tyson, once the youngest heavyweight champion in history, is stripped of everything but gravity. Chains replace the championship belts. Photographers swarm like locusts as guards march him through steel doors to serve 6 years. The roar of the crowd becomes the slam of a gate. His world, once boundless, is now measured in feet. 2 concrete walls, a steel cot, and a number. 922335. A man who used to walk surrounded by 30-person entourages now stands in line for soap, dressed in denim like everyone else. Prison is not punishment for Mike Tyson. It is humiliation. Here, the swagger dissolves. The myth evaporates. In the silence of the cell, the monster is forced to meet the boy he once was. The scared fat kid from Brownsville, who learned violence because it was the only language the world responded to. He tries to bury himself in muscle. He trains relentlessly in the prison yard, his shadow dancing against the brick walls, trying to resurrect the body that shielded him all his life. But the real transformation happens in the silence. A guard remembers seeing him. He was always reading, alone, head down. He reads Malcolm X. He reads Tolstoy. He reads Hemingway. He studies philosophy and religion. Mike Tyson, the machine built to destroy, becomes obsessed with understanding why he exists. He converts to Islam. He speaks of discipline. He speaks of divine order. For the first time in his life, Mike Tyson is forced to sit with himself without the noise of applause to distract him. He is no longer a weapon. He is a man confronting the wreckage of his past. He calls prison his sabbatical, not because it was peaceful, but because it was the only place on earth where nobody wanted anything from him. No promoters asking for dates, no parasites asking for money, no leeches disguised as managers, just silence, and the ghosts he could no longer outrun. He emerges with a new religion, yet the old rage still flickers beneath the surface. The world imagines prison changed him, that the killer instinct has been prayed away. But the truth is more complex. Prison didn't heal Mike Tyson. It simply hid him. The beast is still there. Only now it is chained deeper, darker, and more conflicted than ever before. As he steps out of the gates in 1995, cameras flash like lightning. The prodigal son has returned. But nobody, not Mike, not the media, not the fans, realizes that this is not redemption. This is reinsertion. A damaged weapon is being thrown back into a world that is ready to exploit him harder than before. The cage didn't reform Tyson. It reforged him into something even more unstable, and the descent continues. The prison gates open, and the circus begins immediately. Reporters swarm like vultures circling fresh meat. Tyson steps out. He is heavier, quieter. His eyes are unfocused, darting around. The world celebrates. They don't want a man. They want the myth resurrected. Don King is waiting. That grin, that shockwave hair, arms open like a preacher, welcoming a prodigal angel who happens to be a cash cow. Tyson isn't returning to glory. He is returning to a feeding frenzy. The promoters smell money. The broadcasters salivate. The advertisers sharpen their knives. The United States didn't forgive him. They just missed the violence. Within weeks, Tyson is back in the ring. His opponent is Peter McNeely, a man who knows he is a human sacrifice. The bell rings. 89 seconds later, the fight is over. TV analysts scream, "The King is back!" The headlines scream, "Return of the Mac!" But look closely at the footage. Something is horribly wrong. The movement is crude. The precision is gone. The surgical strikes that defined his prime are replaced by wild, heavy swings. Gone is the chessboard footwork Cus D'Amato taught him. Gone is the slipping and weaving like smoke through bullets. Tyson is headhunting. No craft. Only collision. He is a man searching for the fastest way out of the ring. Yet the checks flood in. $25 million per fight. The fake empire reassembles itself overnight. Instead of the discipline of Cus D'Amato, Tyson now has the manipulations of Don King. The lifestyle returns. Women, cars, hangers-on. An endless carousel of excess designed to keep him distracted. The beast is out, but nobody taught him how to live as a human being. The cameras frame Tyson as reborn. But what the world is really seeing is a ghost wrapped in muscle. Inside his mind, he knows he isn't the same. He admits it in private moments. He whispers to his confidants, "I was scared. I wasn't Iron Mike anymore." Critics whisper that it is rigged, but the promoters don't care. The Tyson myth is a printing press, and the ink is still wet. And yet look at the corner after the fight. Tyson isn't celebrating. He isn't smiling. He looks empty. The discipline that made him unstoppable died with Cus. What replaced it was rage without direction, violence without meaning. Everyone claims to know him. Everyone profits off him, but nobody sees the fracture widening in his soul. Tyson is no longer a fighter. He is a tragedy walking towards its final act. And the next chapter will expose it, because soon he will face a man who won't just beat him. He will corner his soul. The year is 1996. Tyson stands across the ring from a man he once dismissed, Evander Holyfield, a preacher, a strategist, a man who has survived wars that Tyson never understood. The betting odds are staggering. The crowd expects a slaughter. Holyfield is supposed to be the next victim. But what the world didn't grasp was that Holyfield wasn't entering a physical fight. He was entering a character examination. The bell rings. From the first exchange, Tyson's eyes widen. Holyfield isn't backing up. He is walking into him. He is smothering him. He is bullying the bully. Holyfield leans on him, holds him, uses his head, frustrates him. He isn't intimidated. He is in total control. Mike Tyson, the man who used fear as his primary weapon, now tastes it on his own tongue. Giants don't know what to do when the villagers don't run. Between rounds, Tyson's corner is chaos. Shouting, panic, confusion, no technical advice, just noise. Tyson is not used to resistance. He is used to submission. Holyfield breaks him. In the 11th round, Tyson folds. The referee stops it. The arena gasps. But this isn't the true defeat. The true defeat is internal. Tyson realizes that the world now knows the secret. The monster can be bullied. And for a man whose entire mythology rests on intimidation, that is a death sentence. A year later, 1997, the rematch. Tyson's camp frames it as revenge, but Tyson isn't entering to conquer. He is entering to escape. The fight begins. Holyfield plays rough again. He uses his head, he pushes. Tyson complains to the referee about headbutts, but the truth is psychological. Holyfield doesn't believe in Mike's myth, and when the myth collapses, Mike collapses with it. Then comes the moment that will stain his legacy forever. The moment the world called madness. Round 3. Chaos. A clinch. Tyson's breathing spikes. His eyes glaze over. He is a man drowning under pressure, looking for a life raft, and he snaps. He bites. Holyfield screams. The ring erupts into pandemonium. Commentators call it rage. Journalists call it barbaric. Fans call it insanity. But the psychological truth is darker. It wasn't aggression. It was fear. It was a primal survival reflex, like a trapped animal gnawing off its own leg to escape a trap. He didn't want to win. He wanted out. He wanted the fight to stop. The mouthpiece becomes a weapon when every other weapon fails. The referee disqualifies him. $3 million is fined. Tyson is dragged away by security while bottles rain down from the stands. The myth that began as the baddest man on the planet now has a new headline: The Cannibal. But what the world doesn't understand is that the bite was not an act of dominance. It was a complete psychological collapse. A boy cornered. A mind tearing itself apart to escape humiliation. In that ring, Mike Tyson was not trying to kill Evander Holyfield. He was trying to kill the reality that he no longer belonged. The beast didn't attack. The beast panicked. It is the most misunderstood act in sports history. And it wasn't the bottom. It was merely the siren warning how deep the descent would go. The years pass, 1999 to 2003. The bite didn't end Tyson. It merely accelerated the corrosion. He returns again, but the crowd cheers differently now. It is not reverence. It is voyeurism. People don't watch Mike Tyson to see greatness anymore. They watch to witness a train wreck. They watch to see if he will snap again. He becomes a tragic attraction, a sideshow freak with a lethal punch. Reporters stop asking about boxing technique. They ask about his medication. They ask about his rage. They ask about his crumbling finances. His interviews bleed instability. He snarls at journalists. He threatens to eat their children. He rambles about pain and oblivion. It is not a performance, it is a breakdown broadcast live to millions. Then comes the final test. The man Tyson has always feared deep down, Lennox Lewis. Lewis is everything Tyson is not: disciplined, calculating, a chess player in a brutal game. The press conference turns into a brawl. Tyson bites Lewis's leg. He screams obscenities. It is the behavior of a man who knows he cannot win a fair fight. June 2002, Memphis. Tyson walks to the ring. He doesn't look like a predator. He looks like an offering. Lennox Lewis doesn't just beat him. He systematically unbuilds him. Uppercuts snap Tyson's head back. Jabs spear him like pins into fabric. Tyson shuffles forward. Slow, cryptic, broken. By the 8th round, Tyson falls. Not violently, but resigned. He stays down. Lewis raises his hand. Tyson stares blankly into the void above the arena lights. Afterward, he wipes the blood from his face and whispers into the microphone, "I don't have it anymore." The boxing world always said Tyson was a monster, but monsters don't announce surrender. Something died that night in Memphis. Not a fighter, but the persona that protected him. Then, almost symbolically, Tyson inks the tribal tattoo onto his face. Critics mocked it. Late-night comedians made jokes. But the truth, it was a brand of exile, a mark of permanent separation from the polite society he never fit into. A declaration that said, "I am not like you, I am not coming back." The collapse accelerates. Creditors circle like sharks. Friends disappear into the woodwork. The hands that used to pat his back vanish when the wells dry up. He sits alone in a mansion he can't afford. The furniture is being repossessed. The tigers are gone. The rooms echo with absence. The bank statements read like autopsy reports. $400 million. Gone, mismanaged, stolen, wasted. The same people who cheered when he was a god are now scavenging the corpse. A declaration that said, "I am not like you, I am not coming back." The collapse accelerates. Creditors circle like sharks. Friends disappear into the woodwork. The hands that used to pat his back vanish when the wells dry up. He sits alone in a mansion he can't afford. The furniture is being repossessed. The tigers are gone. The rooms echo with absence. The bank statements read like autopsy reports. $400 million. Gone, mismanaged, stolen, wasted. The same people who cheered when he was a god are now scavenging the corpse. Washington, D.C., 2005. The final scene of the tragedy. Mike Tyson enters the ring against Kevin McBride, a man nobody feared, a heavyweight nobody should lose to. The promoter sells it as a comeback, but insiders whisper, this is the execution. Tyson's body looks formidable, but Tyson is not there. Round after round, he leans on McBride. He grapples. He gasps for air. His eyes wander around the arena like a man trying to remember why he is there. He tries to break McBride's arm in a clinch. It's a dirty move, but it lacks the fire of the past. It's just tired. Round 7 starts. Tyson doesn't come out. He sits on his stool. He slumps. A look passes over his face. It isn't pain. It isn't anger. It is release. He shakes his head at his trainer. I'm done. The referee waves it off. Mike Tyson, once the destroyer of worlds, the man who made grown men tremble. He quits on the stool against a journeyman. The arena doesn't explode in anger. It exhales. Because everyone expected a death. Just not this one. There is no knockout punch, no violent crescendo, no explosion. Tyson dies quietly, like a myth evaporating in fluorescent light. He walks back to the locker room, shoving away cameras, mumbling apologies to the fans who paid to see a ghost. Later, sitting in the locker room, he admits the truth. I no longer have the guts to be in this sport. I don't want to disrespect the sport that I love. My heart is not into this anymore. This is the true cliffhanger. A man built for war no longer has wars to fight. When brutality is your language, who are you when the silence comes? He steps out into the night, broke, lost, isolated. His face tattoo reflects the streetlights like the war paint of a fallen soldier. The god of war is dead. All that remains is a wounded child inside a giant's body, staring at a world that has moved on. The credits should roll here, but they don't. Because the descent is not the end, it is the doorway. We end with one final image. Tyson alone in an empty gym. His hands are wrapped, but there is no bag hanging, no coach, no sound. Just the echo of the only life he ever knew. Fade to black. A whisper cuts through the darkness. If he wasn't Iron Mike anymore, then who was he?